Hello folks, and welcome to this video in which we're having a look at this Tenshodo SPUD drive unit. So these have been a little bit ridiculed recently for their running qualities. They tend to be a little bit quick and not particularly smooth, so that's what we're going to have a look at today by adding as much weight as we can really and seeing how it affects the running qualities. So this is a 10.5mm wheel version. All I've done is stick a bit of cardboard to the top so we can add some weight to it. Other versions with different wheelbases should run pretty much the same as this. The only difference is the larger wheeled versions will be a bit quicker. So I'm going to start off by weighing it. So we've got 16 grams with no additional weight added. I don't know how well you can see this little screen here. So we'll start with that. The track setup I have is actually just a straight of track. It's a little bit wobbly, so the weight will probably help the pickup as well. And it's not driven by that control over there, it's driven by a fixed 4.5 volt transformer under the desk. And that's so we get exactly the same voltage every time, so that shouldn't affect the experiment. Incidentally, 4.5 volts is the lowest speed I could get it to run consistently on. It would sort of stop and start if you gave it a poke on 3 volts, so I've just upped it to 4.5 to make sure we get consistent running throughout. So I'll drop this on the track, let's see how it goes and see if I can pick the right way to plug this in. So this is our baseline. Hopefully you can get an idea of the speed from the lines on the cutting mat. Okay, so let's start adding some weight and see if that makes any difference. I haven't run this experiment in advance, so I have no idea if any of this is going to make any difference at all. And I had to work quite hard to find some loose change around the house. Okay, so we now have, actually let's start with 1, because that's double the weight. So adding a £1 coin takes us from 16 grams to 25 grams, which is a pretty significant increase. So let's see if that's made any difference. Nothing really noticeable in my opinion, but it does seem, well, nothing speed-wise, but it does seem to have made it just a little bit less jerky, so that's probably the pickup it's helping more than the speed in this particular instance. So let's add another one, take it up to 34 grams. I don't know if all this stuff's going to start sliding off at some point either. So it seems to be a little bit quicker running in that direction than it does in that direction. Well, let's keep going, see what happens. So we're now up to 42 grams. And to be honest, looking at the size of these coins, this is probably about the maximum amount of weight that you could fit in a really small locomotive. If you're building a carriage or a multiple unit or something like that, you can get a lot more in than this. But for a small, one of those little diesel shunter kits, something like that, that fits on one of these, that's probably about the maximum you're going to get. And it certainly feels a lot more substantial than it did. It's definitely quicker running in one direction than the other. Although this unit is brand new, so it hasn't been running until, and it sounds fairly smooth. So I think that's running a little bit slower than it was, if only because it's having to work harder. So let's just keep going. That's up to 51 grams. Again, much the same result. This is the point that I start to run out of loose change. So that's up to 60 grams. So in my opinion, that's definitely a little bit slower than it was at the start. Let's see what else I can find to weigh this down with. So adding a pair of pliers takes us to 74 grams. Don't know if all this is going to stay on there. Well, that's certainly better than it was. Let's just go for it now. See if we can get it to 100. 91. 100 grams exactly. See if we can make coins fly everywhere. That's definitely slower, but I'm not convinced it's slower going this way. So, final test. Go straight back to 0. I'm pretty sure that's quicker in both directions now. So there we go, that concludes our little test. We haven't tested sort of slow running from a ramped up voltage, which the weight should theoretically help with quite a bit as well. But just from adding weight, the consistent running is much better, the pickup is better, and the whole thing just works a little bit more smoothly. So there we go, moral of the story, add as much weight as you possibly can, which, to be honest, you probably knew already. So there we go, TS Design providing completely useless advice since about last Tuesday. See you next time.